Oh, have we? Okay, everyone. So welcome to our Heritage Collection Committee meeting. If I can get the Mayor and Adrian to behave themselves. It's all right, just disgusting. Seriously, no, welcome everybody, and I'm pleased to be back. We acknowledge, or we would like to acknowledge, this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Gawler people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Gawler people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Gawler people today. And I think, apart from Jeff, we're all here, aren't we? Any apologies? No? Okay. Any motions to grant leave of absence? No? No non-attendance? Apart from him. All right. Any declarations of interest? No. Okay. Would someone like to move that was present at the last meeting, the April meeting? Thank you. Helen, seconded by Adrian. Any discussion? If not, those in favour, please show. Against, carry. Thank you. Right. So business arising from the meeting, I assume, is on the agenda, is it? We don't have anything other than that? No? Okay. So decisions. The first one is the independent community member discussion. So, Natasha, are you going to lead that discussion?
Thank you. Through the chair, certainly can. If any members have any questions, this is a report following the resignation of Mr. Jeffrey Randall that we received on the 25th of April. And this is presenting the process to go out for an expression of interest for any interested members in the community to fill that vacant position.
Thank you, Natasha. Helen.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the recommendation, with the addition perhaps that on behalf of the committee we thank Jeff for his time with us and wish him well for the future perhaps. Yeah, so with a third point to that recommendation. Couldn't have written it better myself, thank you.
Thank you, Helen and Connie. So we had a seconder for that addition to the, thank you, Mayor Karen. Any discussion? If not, those in favour, please show. Against, carry. All right, this is the Williston Cemetery. Yes, Helen.
Chair, just could I, sorry, I might have missed it, the timeline on when we'd like to see that that come out in the media, the expression of interest. Is that right? Likely to happen within weeks, perhaps?
Oh, through the chair, it is in the report, a detailed timeline. After presentation to council and endorsement, it will, we are hoping, appear in the Bunyip and on social media through all of our digital channels on the 3rd of July.
Thank you. Sorry. See you.
Thank you, Natasha. So, Williston Cemetery bench. Jacinta.
motion. Yeah, this bench, by 1985, only 3 of the seats remained, and so the Historical Society of Gawler proposed to Council that the remaining seats be restored as part of the 1986 Jubilee celebrations. The badly damaged benches were removed from the cemetery but were never restored. The bench pieces were recently rediscovered after having been missing for many years, so I'm happy to move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Seconder, please. Deborah, any discussion? Jacinta, do you want to say something?
So, through the chair, I'd just like to bring another aspect of this story that's come to light recently. The Wollonga Forge, who did the restoration for us, love the chair. If anyone's sat in the bench, it's very, very comfortable. They have asked if they can use the remaining pieces to have moulds forged and sell the bench commercially. So I wanted to gain an understanding of the committee if you would like me to investigate that further and bring back a report to you on that option. What the thoughts were around potentially copies of the bench being available for the Wollonga Forge to sell. Just letting you know that there's no copyright in the bench anymore. James Martin, Furphy's Foundry, did produce one like that many years ago. James Martin used a European pattern, but they would like to still recreate it. They think there's a market for it.
Thank you, Jacinta. Helen?
Yeah, in one sense, I think that would be a good thing. However, given that $3,900 has been paid to create the original, I don't think it's unreasonable that we ask for some return towards the Gawler Heritage Collection. I think that seems like a fair thing. If we had not rediscovered the ironwork and then commissioned them to do it, they wouldn't be in that position. But I acknowledge the fact that they've asked, which I think is good. Could have been done otherwise, I suppose. But yeah, I'd like to see some return. And from memory, DIHA also contributed, so it's...
Yes, we did.
It's both. I think their donation needs to be rewarded as well, and I'm sure that within discussions with them, they'd be happy for that money to be returned to the collection.
Karen?
I agree. It's being accepted into the Gawler Heritage Collection, and I think that there is a probability of getting the money back, and I think that we need to approach the Wollonga Forge to ask if they can provide some return, even for the Gawler Environment and Heritage Association, $1950. Yeah, I think I agree. I think that there needs to be some recompense back to our heritage collection, because it's an original of. I know it was taken from a European seat, but this is an original for Gawler, and I think I have concerns about making many more seats, but I think it's a worthy opportunity.
Adrian?
There were also, it's not just the seat, is it? Because there are other pieces that haven't been used, so there's more than that.
So through the chair, when we took all of the remaining pieces to the Wollonga Forge so that they could ascertain if they had enough there from the 3 to make one whole, and they did. They chose the best pieces, which is what they've done, and they have shortened that bench. It's not its original size. It was much longer originally. And then they've sort of said, this is fabulous. We would like to use these pieces to cast moulds so that the bench could be recreated, and I reminded them that those remaining pieces belong to Town of Gawler, that I would need to bring it to the committee, who would then make a discussion. So that's, from my understanding of the discussion here, if I go back and have a discussion with them and bring a report with what they're willing to contribute to the project and how it might unfold, and then that will further your discussion about whether the project should proceed or in what format. That might be the way forward. I did explain that there would be a process to this, that this wasn't a short-term thing, and that would take some time before we had an outcome, and they were understanding of that.
Deb and then Helen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about patent on this, if there's any kind of legal requirement or on copyright. The fact that we own the chair itself, but we didn't create originally the chair. I just wonder where that sits legally.
So through the chair, from my understanding, there is no copyright that's passed and in time, and no patent as well, because it wasn't a registered patented object, and also time has passed. So from a copyright perspective, which would be the only thing retained, there is no copyright in the object anymore. So we don't have an opportunity to patent or copyright it, so to speak. However, we do have the opportunity to enable the reproduction with caveats. And so that would be what we'd be testing in a reporting framework, and around a relationship with Wollonga Forge and the Town of Gawler and the Heritage Collection about what that arrangement is, whether that's an ongoing return as a commission from the sales, or whether it's an outright purchase. There's many opportunities. It could be a licensing thing that we go down instead of an outright you can have it. So these are the things we'd need to test out in the reporting framework and bring back to the committee.
Yeah, that was part of my next. So we have no legal, but we have a moral right, I guess. And given that public funds have been spent in reproducing it, I'm quite sure that the Wollonga Forge would come to some agreement with that. I'd be very hopeful that. And we provide the history that sits behind this unique thing. So not only is it an attractive piece of furniture, but it comes with a bit of history that we would provide, I would imagine, as part of that deal. So I look forward to the report, and I'm quite sure, well, I'm very hopeful that Wollonga will work with us.
I have. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when the original, when it originally went out for, for costing or pricing, there was something in that documentation which was saying you can come and see so-and-so and see a pattern. So I think, and I'm just remembering from when I did that research, but I think there was actually a pattern that said we would like the seat to be of this pattern, and so James Martin, representative, would have gone and had a look at it, and anyone else who was going to provide a price. So, because I've also seen the same bench in London outside the Natural History Museum in Kensington, and it was the same pattern as well that Furphy's made, and they called it the plantation seat. But I don't know whether that's their name when they've made it in modern times. So I don't think it would be under any sort of patent.
So we will get another report based on the bench and licensing and the way forward. Thank you.
Sorry, we've got a recommendation which is based on a follow-up report. Is that correct?
So through the chair, the recommendation here is that council accepts the bench into the collection.
Right.
We don't actually need a recommendation around a report.
Okay.
We've taken that on notice from a staff perspective, and it was already our intended process. We just wanted to test the appetite of the committee before presenting the report or doing the work behind it, because if the committee was against, without making a formal decision, our investigation, we wouldn't invest the time in that investigation. So we will proceed with that investigation and bring that report back. So this resolution is essentially just that recommendation to council that the bench is accepted into the collection.
Right. And do we minute that a report will be followed?
We don't need to.
Don't need to.
No,
do-
that's
okay.
fine.
All right. So it's been. Sorry, Adrian.
Do we also accept the other parts? Is it the bench and the spare bits? Yeah, so it's...
Okay. Those in favour, please show. What?
So through the chair, we
you
just
want to
need
put the
to add,
spare- Oh, sorry.
after the word bench, and the other, how will we state it, Jacinta? Cast iron bench pieces. Yep.
Sorry. Yes, that's right. They need to be put in.
Certainly, Deb, yeah.
I'd go, and the remaining cast iron pieces from the total of 3 benches.
From the original 3 benches.
Cast iron pieces from the original 3 benches.
Everyone happy with that? Okay. So
More specific.
And remove the first bench that you just added. After the word iron. Yeah.
thanks, Connie. Right. So now we have the reworded recommendation. Okay. So you're happy as a mover?
Would it be helpful to have the word Williston Cemetery reproduction bench? Because we're talking about both the original and the reproduction, maybe for clarity going in the future? No?
They're all original pieces.
So the Williston Cemetery bench, though, is not original.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Just the wood. It's just the wood.
You're just trying to do my head in, Helen. That's all.
It's too much.
Yeah, they are the original pieces. The wood.
Those in favour of that wording, please show. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right. Jacinta?
So through the chair, the Gawler Heritage Collection policy is reviewed every 2 years. That time is upon us. In reviewing the policy, staff are recommending a minor change to accommodate the fact that items now go straight to the eHive catalogue, whereas where in the early days of the Cultural Heritage Centre we did keep 2 together. They don't anymore. And also just wanted to bring to the committee's attention that Significance 2.0 is out for community consultation and review. Depending on the outcomes of that review, that may impact our heritage policies. So I may bring it back to the committee for review prior to the next 2-year period, depending on the outcomes of that. I would encourage everyone to go online and look at the Significance 2.0 review, and I will send a link to everybody and give your feedback to the federal government on that document and how you think it might impact us and our collection and the work that we do.
Thank you, Jacinta. Helen?
Yeah, I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation, particularly in concern with now using the eHive rather than the collection inventory. The collection inventory was of its time, useful, but we now have a far superior inventory that comes under eHive, and we have systems in place so that that's backed up, just in case it... Thank you. 3 times a day it is. There you go. There's something about museum people that need to have that. So I'm very happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Helen. A seconder, please. Oh, Adrian. Thank you, Adrian. Discussion. Any discussion? No? Fairly straightforward. Thank you, Jacinta. Thank you, everyone. Those in favour, please show. Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Jacinta, would you like to talk about this, please?
Through the Chair, Mr Adrian Shackley, who has been working with consultants on the update of the Williston Cemetery Management Plan, has requested a digital copy of the original Williston Plan for inclusion in that document. That plan is not in the public domain. It is reprinted currently in the exhibition, but it's not in the public domain, and so I have brought the request to the committee.
Thank you, Jacinta. Karen is moving it. Have I got a second? Paul? Any discussion?
If I could speak to it, I think this will be a great addition to the Williston Cemetery Conservation and Management Plan. 1864 Williston Cemetery Plan, I think, will be a fantastic achievement in the Williston Cemetery Conservation and Management Plan. There is a requirement that the image be identified in the publication as having come from the Gawler Heritage Collection and that it may not be reproduced without permission, and I agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any further discussion? If not, those in favour, please show. Against? Carried. Thank you. Jacinta, would you like to talk us through this one, please?
So, through the Chair, this is our quarterly inquiries update. We had 26 inquiries for the period. We had 105 visitors to the research centre over that period, 11 from interstate, one was international from Ireland, who was did include Gawler as part of the itinerary, specifically to do family history research.
Thank you. Any discussion? No? Would someone like to move Jacinta's report, please? Adrian, seconded Deb. Those in favour, please show. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jacinta. Right. What are we up to? Items listed for discussion presented to members. Don't know what that means. Any items for future discussion, future meeting?
Perhaps coming from that last, congratulations on the statistics, and I think having these statistics is really, really useful, and I'm always thinking that we should continue to promote. I know within this group we're very much aware of the pull that the collection is having now, but I think it's always useful to continue to let the public and the ratepayers know the value that they're getting in terms of cultural heritage tourism. So look forward to some opportunities perhaps to shine our light further.
Helen, any other discussion? No? Someone like to? No, we don't need to do that, do we? Okay.
So through the Chair, we might just add, if you are doing 9 items listed for discussion at future meetings, we'll just add the Williston Cemetery Branch Wollonga Forge as one of those items, yes. So it is recorded there.
Because we need to discuss that process, don't we?
Correct, so that'll be a report coming back in the future, but we'll have it listed there, so it'll sit on the agenda until that report comes through.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, David. Questions without notice? Paul?
Just after an update of the crop gun from Piney Park, if there's any update with that item.
Through the Chair, the RSL were notified that they were unsuccessful in the grant application at this time. They are looking for some feedback on their application, and then they were going to reconvene the original group that helped them put the application together and discuss their next steps going forward.
Could someone just enlighten me about what that was about? Because I'm not familiar with the crop gun issue.
Certainly. So, through the Chair, the crop field gun at Pioneer Park has been identified as a need for restoration, and the RSL Gawler sub-branch lodged an application to the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs saluting their service commemorative fund for a major commission to have that gun restored. They'd also proposed to put a shelter over the gun. The location of it returning was up in the air because there are some elements around Pioneer Park being a state heritage place and having to get heritage approvals, and also the intent to maintain views, vistas and those sorts of things for that place, whether a structure in Pioneer Park would be suitable or not. None of that was resolved prior to the application being submitted. The Department of Veteran Affairs has said, no, you're not getting the funding this time. The round is open again, so there is an opportunity for them to resubmit. However, they'd need the feedback first, because if you just resubmit as it is, you're going to get the same result. We, as council staff, we have a motion on the books that we're responding to from January relating to providing a report back to council on the Crupfield gun and potential relocations, restorations and those sorts of things. So the intention is, fingers crossed I'll get there, it's in my court to present a report to the CCS meeting, the Corporate and Community Service Committee, in July. We, as staff, have floated the concept with the RSL Gawler sub-branch of the gun being relocated to a different place, potentially, if we're needing to put a shelter on it. So we are considering the 5th Street playground as an option, which is directly opposite the Lone Soldier, as the gun was originally located with the Lone Soldier. So that is an option we are considering as staff, and we've asked the RSL to consider. They are looking at that at a committee meeting in June. Obviously this is all proposals and it's still yet to be discussed through council, etc. So there are other options that the RSL have presented about relocating the gun within Pioneer Park to different areas of Pioneer Park. The gun has had a very good history provided by Adrian Brown to us about its locations, and it was originally down at the Lone Soldier, but it went to Calton Road Playground and then moved up to Pioneer Park. So there are lots of different options around that gun and its location in the future, or it's retained where it is. Obviously there's cost impacts on all of these things, including the restoration. So that's another thing we need to consider. What is council's financial capacity to do a restoration? What is the appetite around that, and all those elements as well. So there's still a lot of work to be done in that space, but effectively right now there's no funding available and there's no proposal in front of council around that funding. So look forward to the discussion at council when it gets there, and I may be on leave when that happens, which will be fun.
Helen, did you want to say something? Thank you for that, by the way, David.
I look forward to you being at the discussion, David. For those of us with memory, I think a factor of community consultation needs to be built into that. This is an artefact owned by the community. I think the RSL is absolutely, it's within their, should it be consulted and have some thoughts. But we really remember what happened last time, that we wanted to relocate a war memorial, and there will be strong community, and which is a good thing. It's part of the fact that our community loves its heritage, but yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Adrian.
I think that's Gawler South Reserve, opposite the memorial where it was, is a good fit. It sounds good on paper anyway, doesn't it?
All right, all to be resolved in the future, hopefully. Motions without notice? Are there any other questions without notice? No, sorry, didn't mean to preempt that. Motions without notice? No, all right. Well, I'll close the meeting at, I say 4:30, but the bit of paper in front of me, the screen in front of me says 4:20.